Good morning, everyone. How are you today? I'm so excited that you've joined us this morning and welcome to our very first parents webinar this year. We are so excited to kick off this series and truly appreciate you joining this early morning on a weekend. I'm Rachel Mali and I'm going to be your moderator during this session, which is brought to you by ADMI, Africa Digital Media Institute, which is a leading creative and technology institute based in Nairobi, Kenya. So at ADMI, we work to give Africa's creatives the mentorship, the training, and the platform that they need to turn their passion into a profession. So before we begin, please make sure your microphone is on mute to minimize any background noise. And if you have any questions or comments, please use the chat function. We'd really like this session to be very interactive. So we'll appreciate if you participate. Now, on to today's topic, the role of parents in career planning, helping your child make informed choices. We are very honored to have Nikki Nkirote-Mwiti, an experienced HR and career success as our speaker today. So without any further ado, allow me to welcome Nikki. Nikki, karibu sana. And before we begin, you can tell us something short about yourself and then we'll kick off. Santeni, and I'm hoping that we're going to have an amazing session today. Karibu.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Good morning, parents and children, hopefully. My name is Nkirote-Mwiti, like you've heard. Most people call me Nikki, but that's because people massacre Nkirote and say Nikirote. Really glad to be here. Thank you very much for making time on a Saturday morning for our webinar. There's so much you could have been doing, very worthwhile things, but you made time for this, and thank you very much. I promise you that it's going to be worth your while. They say that there are three things that are key ingredients for a successful webinar, successful training, workshop. The first is a conducive environment. I hope you're in a place where you can hear clearly without too much distraction. The second is how prepared the speaker is. I will leave that to you. I leave you to be the judge of that. The third, and which I think is the most important, is an engaged audience. So how engaged you are, whether you're fully here, whether you're fully present, whether you participate, is what will make this worth your while. Again, I really want to appreciate you making time on a Saturday morning to join us. So, but can you imagine then if you didn't do the other things you could have been doing, very important things, and then you also don't gain from here because you're not fully present. So I want to humbly request you to fully engage. When we ask questions, please answer, speak up, don't walk away with any questions, ask questions on the chat, give your comments, give your opinion and have discussion questions. Please engage. And I really look forward to a wonderful session, and I pray that at the end of this hour, you will look back and you're like, okay, that was worth it. So like I said, I'm Nikki, I'm a HR practitioner. I really enjoy helping young adults, young professionals, students map out their career journey so that they don't have to make the mistakes we made or other people in other generations made because they didn't have a lot of knowledge or they didn't have guidance. I really enjoy doing that. I have been in this profession for a number of years, but I've also done so many other things, which I will share as we continue. I'm a mother as well, so I hope that doubly qualifies me to be talking to you about this topic. So I'll start by sharing my screen. I have a very nice presentation. I hope you will enjoy it. So my first question, okay, here we are. Okay. So I hope you can now see my screen fully. Present. I enjoy doing this. And I really do enjoy doing this. So as parents, we all want the best for our children, and career planning can feel overwhelming because we really want what is best for them. The job market is rapidly evolving, and it's not always easy to know how best to support our children, right? And even if you're a child, it's not always easy to know how best to make the right decisions. That's exactly why we are here today, to explore ways to guide our children or ourselves, if we are the ones, in making informed career choices without pressure or without fear. So my first question, please engage by sharing in the chat box, is how confident do you feel about guiding your child's career? How confident do you feel? Do you feel very confident? Do you feel not confident at all? Somewhat confident? How confident do you feel about guiding your child's career? So the choices are, just be honest. Do you feel very confident? Do you feel not confident at all? Somewhat confident? How do you feel? I want to hear some answers if there's anybody who's answering. I hope that as we continue, your answer will shift from not confident at all to very confident. That is the point of our presentation today. Wherever you fall on the scale, whether you're feeling extremely confident or not confident at all, I want you to know that you're not alone. And at the end of this session, I hope you live with practical strategies to help your child navigate their career journey. Or if you're the child in question, you will live with practical strategies to help you navigate your career journey. So let's begin by understanding career exploration. Why is career planning important, and what shapes our children's career choices? So why is early career planning important? Because career decisions impact long-term success, financial independence, and personal fulfillment. We want our children to feel fulfilled. We want them to do things that they enjoy. We want them, of course, to be financially independent. We also want them to be successful and to feel successful. That's why it's important for us to start this journey of career exploration as early as we possibly can. Another reason why it matters is because the world of work is evolving. Can you imagine jobs that existed some years ago, like being a telephone operator or a telegram operator, are no longer relevant right now because of changes in technology? Also, a couple of years, we hadn't heard of a career like content creation. And now it's a very viable and lucrative and enjoyable career. So the world of work is evolving. Jobs that exist today may be different in 10 years due to AI or automation or just new industries like career content creation. So that's why it's important to have this discussion with yourself and with your child as early as possible so that you are able to keep up with the changing times. Key influences on career choices. What influenced your career choices? Starting with you as a parent. Can you think about it? What influenced your career choices? These are the same things and more that are influencing career choices right now. The first is usually personality and interest. What excites your child? What do they naturally gravitate towards? Even you, there are things which naturally interest you, like maybe you're naturally interested in fixing cars or acting or singing. There's something that you naturally gravitate towards. If somebody woke you up at 2 a.m. and told you, come and do this, you'd run. There's exposure to careers. Do you remember those families where everybody was a teacher? Like their grandparents were teachers, their parents were teachers, they themselves were teachers, or any other profession because of that's the exposure they had, right? So what have your children seen or had? Have they explored different fields through school? Maybe at school they're told about these are the different careers, media, which is a very important influencer right now because a lot of the things people now want to do are things that they have seen other people do and do them successfully. Or family, like the example I gave of a family of teachers or doctors or lawyers. There's also parental and societal expectations. So are your children making a choice based on personal passion or external pressure? These are some of the key influences on career choices. I want you to take a moment now and think as a parent. I hope you have a pen and paper. Or even if you're a child, I want you to take a moment and write this question down. Take a moment to write down your child's top 3 interests, or your own if you're the child. Take a moment to write down your child's top 3 interests. Could be playing video games, could be acting, could be farming. What are your child's top 3 interests? Now, I want you to think of 3 careers that align with those interests. Think of 3 careers that align with those interests. An example would be if I write that one of my child's interest is drawing. 3 careers that would align with that would be maybe a career in graphic design, starters, a career as a painter, or a career in interior designing, for example, or in styling or in fashion. If I write that my child's interest is playing video games, a career that would align with that interest would be probably developing video games, developing apps. So I know this is not an exercise that you can conclude now, and I hope over the weekend you'll now take time to think about this. From the interest that you know your child has, what are the career options that would align with that interest? I want us to take another poll. I hope I'll have takers this time who will answer. As a parent, what is your biggest concern regarding your child's career? What is your biggest concern as a parent regarding your child's career? Or even if you're a child, feel free to answer. What is your own biggest concern regarding your career? Is it whether it's going to be marketable? Is it whether it's going to pay well? What is your biggest concern regarding your child's career? Okay, now let's move on to your role as a parent in career decision making. What is your role as a parent in career decision making? As parents, we want security for our children. I think that's where we always start. Yeah, we want security for our children, but we must be careful not to impose our dreams onto them. Instead, our role is to guide them, expose them, and support them. So how do you help your child discover their strengths? How do you do that practically? So the first step is encourage self-reflection. Keep asking, what do you enjoy doing the most? And this is a conversation you must keep having over the years because it changes with time. Keep asking, what do you enjoy doing the most? So when they're very small, they might have a different answer. During preteen, they might have a different answer. As teenagers, as young adults, just keep asking them, what do you enjoy doing the most? Then you can use career assessment tools. This is very, very important. So there are many free tools that can help identify strengths and career matches for your child. And there are free tools, and some of them are also paid tools. I would advise that the best way to go about it would probably engage a certified career coach who have like paid centers where you pay some money, do the personality test, or aptitude test. It comes up with a booklet that gives you a wide range of choices from the way your child has answered this question. These are all the careers that they could fall into. And now this career coach can help you even decode that booklet even better. But it's also something you can do for yourself because there are very many free tools. So use career assessment tools that are available online, expose them to different fields, encourage them to be volunteers, to do internships, to job shadowing. Use your networks to help them do that. So if your child tells you, I want to be a music producer, using your networks, find a music producer they can shadow, they can talk to, they can work with maybe over their holiday so they can be exposed and see, okay, what does this actually mean? Your child wants to be a filmmaker. From your networks, find a filmmaker, somebody they can shadow and work with, and this will open up their minds. Believe it or not, when I was in campus, because everybody in my class was doing CPAs, I started doing CPAs on the side because everybody in my class was doing that. Well, one holiday, I decided to intern in an accounts department of a very, very, very busy supermarket. That experience cured me, and I was like, this is not for me. I always think about why not for that experience. I'd have probably finished my CPAs and then found myself, now that you've done your CPAs, found myself as an accountant, and I think I would have made a terrible accountant. I always think of that experience to remind me of how important that young people should intern, should volunteer, should job shadow, because how you think about a job and what it actually entails can be very, very different. Okay. I want us to ask our children open-ended questions. Yeah. Ask them open-ended questions. What do you enjoy learning about? Yeah. These are questions, open-ended questions are questions that have no yes or no. It's really open. They can talk to you about everything that is on their mind. Ask them open-ended questions. Listen without judgment. Avoid phrases like, that's not a real job. After they have told you, okay, what do I enjoy doing? Your child has told you content creation. Don't say that's not a real job. Or I enjoy dancing. Don't say that's not a real job, because now that will shut them up and they won't ask and they won't engage the way they should have or the way you wanted them to. Introduce them to mentors who can provide career insights. This is also linked to what I talked about, helping them job shadow, intern, volunteer. Foster, as we go ahead, I want us to think about, before we move to that next bit, there's always this case of the traditional versus passion dilemma. I want us to think of a fictional person called Mary. This is a typical scenario in many families. So Mary's parents want her to pursue medicine. Sounds like someone from my generation, but she loves digital content creation. So she's torn between, should she follow her passion, or should she meet her parents' expectations? What do you think? What advice would you give Mary's parents? They want their child to do this, but the child wants to do this. And how can they balance career security with passion? Because the concern many parents have is, okay, fine, my child enjoys doing this, but will it grant them career success? But on the other hand, is that what your child is passionate about? How would you go about this? If you are a friend to Mary's parents, how would you go about this? Any takers? How would I go about this if it was a friend to Mary's parents? I would encourage them to have a frank discussion with Mary, so that they can then share their own authentic and very vulnerable, honest discussion. This is what we're actually concerned about. Yeah, this is what we're concerned about, so that then they can come to a middle ground. And the two of them, like we have seen, can be very well matched. You can be a doctor who does content creation based on either your current profession. Like we've seen all these content creators who are actually doctors, so they talk to us about their field, but using the various social media platforms available. They have a YouTube channel that talks about their practice and all of that. So it's not either or. Both passion and job security can go very well hand in hand. That would be my personal advice. I look forward to hearing what your personal advice would be. Another thing I want us to think about is mindset shift. Then versus now. So I hope you can write this down and have a discussion with your partner, with your friends over the weekend. Think back to when you were younger, you as a parent, yeah? What did you want to be? And what do you do now? I'd love to hear some of your answers. What did you want to be when you were younger? And what do you do now? I can't believe that once upon a time I wanted to be a nun. Yes, I am nowhere close to that. So what did you want to be when you were younger, and what do you do now? Third point I want you to think about is, do you believe career success is more about skills or degree? Yeah? What do you think? Is career success more about skills or about degrees? I have another story about someone called John. So John, this is actually a real life story, studied engineering. Actually, he did it at an undergrad level and also at a master's level. But then he later realized that he wanted to be an entrepreneur. And in this case, he's into agribusiness. And how did it start? So since I know John personally, like he went abroad, he studied his undergrad, then his master's, then he came back, and then it took a while to get a job. And as it was taking a while to get a job, he decided, you know what? Let me start farming. Yeah. And he enjoys it. He's doing very well. And it's been a couple of years and he's not yet started practicing engineering. Yeah. But his parents initially were very worried about financial stability. They still sort of are. My question to you is, how can parents support children who want to pivot in their careers? Pivoting is where you start on this side and end up on another side. So how can parents support children who want to pivot in their careers? How can you be supportive as a parent, knowing very well what you're actually concerned about is their financial stability and their success. So I hope you have time to discuss with your partner, with your friends. How can you support your child if they want to pivot in their careers? You've taken them to school to do this, but because of circumstances, they're now doing something different. So back to our current page where we're talking about key strategies for career support. And we've talked about encouraging them to have open conversations, listening without judgment, and then also introducing them to mentors. It is very essential to foster skills for career success. Employers now prioritize soft skills like communication, problem solving, adaptability, and digital literacy because having the technical skills is what gets you through the door, fine. But whether you're going to succeed in your career, whether you're going to move upward, whether you're even going to get another job, whether you're going to grow, now that depends on your soft skills. Like, are you a good team player? How are your communication skills? How do you problem solve? When encountered with a problem, can you think outside the box? How adaptable are you? COVID-19, in 2020 showed us that life can really change. Are we raising children who are resilient and adaptable? And how is their digital literacy? So those soft skills are in universal demand, regardless of the career your child ends up in. You really need to think about how you're going to inculcate soft skills into your child. Encourage co-curricular activities because these are what help them develop these skills. These are skills that they will learn when they engage in activities outside of the classroom. I want us to look at another case study of how to future-proof your child's career path. And this one I'll talk about someone called Alex. Again, real life story. So Alex is interested in AI and cybersecurity, but his parents worry that it's not a stable career because they're unfamiliar with it. They're wondering what is AI, what is cybersecurity. They just hear buzzwords, but they really don't know about it. So because of their lack of knowledge about it, they think that it's not a stable career. Yet those who are very knowledgeable about AI and cybersecurity know that it's a very lucrative career. So the discussion point is, how can you as parents educate yourselves about evolving careers and make informed decisions? Yeah. And the burden now is for you as a parent to keep updating yourself so that when your child tells you about a career that sounds unfamiliar to you, you don't react out of fear just because you don't have a lot of knowledge on that. What are the resources that you can use to stay updated with career trends? The first one, of course, would be to be active on LinkedIn, and you can see, okay, these are the different careers that are evolving. Being active on social media will also show you, oh, these are other careers that are evolving, so that when your child talks to you about them, you are well informed and you can guide them appropriately. I want to give you another challenge. That's a homework. So I want to give you a lesser known career, UI UX designer. Yeah. So I hope you take a minute to Google it and then drop an interesting fact that you've learned about it. Yeah. And the point of this exercise is to show you that there's so many careers that might sound unfamiliar to you based on the industry that you're at, but surprise, surprise, they're actually thriving. So let's look at key. Sorry.
Nikki,
Yes, please.
before we continue, we have a few comments on the chat section. Could we first address them?
Please read for me.
Okay, so there's one comment from Thomas. He says that when selecting a career for your child, you have to look at the relevance and impact to the child and family and society as well. Then he also said that career success is about competence.
True. Okay, yes, it's about competence more than actually having a certificate. Yes, he's answering the question I asked very well. Do you believe career success is about skills or about getting a degree? So that's true. It's about competence. There's what your papers say you can do, but it's really what you can actually do on the ground. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Then lastly, Yvonne is saying, I think encouraging children to know that they can have it all, though not always at the same time, so the child can have a practical career and leave it for their passion. As parents, we need to have very open minds and remain supportive throughout this process.
Love it. Love it. You've summed up everything that I have been saying in such a lovely, lovely way. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much. Keep participating. Okay, Nikki, you can carry on.
Wow, from your comments, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir here. This is very nice that we're already on the same page. So, navigating career setbacks. Let's face it, career journeys are rarely linear, right? I myself started out doing something very different from what I'm currently doing. It's okay for children to explore, to fail, and to change paths. And we need to show them the support by mirroring that in our own lives. So, how do you handle career uncertainty? Because that is a fact of life, right? So you normalize career shifts. Many professionals switch fields multiple times. So share your own career story with your children, with other young adults that you know, so that when that time comes and they find themselves shifting careers or shifting their paths, they know that this is quite normal. Encourage them to have a growth mindset because failure is part of learning. So encourage that growth mindset by mirroring it in your own life so that they can see how you react to failure and they can react to failure in the same way by having a growth mindset. Teach adaptability. Lifelong learning is the key to staying relevant. Teach them adaptability. And how do you teach them? By mirroring that yourself. Be adaptable. Show them, I started here, this is where I am at. See what happened during COVID, this is now what I'm doing. And from you, they will learn how to navigate career uncertainties and setbacks better. What do you think? I hope you answer this. What do you think is the biggest challenge young people face in career planning at the moment? What do you, as a parent, think is the biggest challenge young people face in career planning? If I was to be asked, I would say right now, a lot of them face a challenge of lack of parental support because they want to do something which maybe their parents are unfamiliar with. Depending again on also their background, some of them, the challenge they face is not being exposed to the wide variety of options that they have, which they only discover much later. What do you think is the biggest challenge young people face in career planning right now? Of course, we cannot fail to talk about the job market as it is right now. There are people who, yesterday I was having a discussion with a very ambitious young lady who is really interested in studying international relations. And her fear was, okay, fine, I want to do international relations, but ideally then I would find myself placed in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, but is that feasible? Will I really end up there, or will it be a degree that I have and I've never been able to practice international relations because nobody is hiring diplomats anymore? So, what do you think is the biggest challenge young people face in career planning? Do you have any takers? Some tools to better support your child's career journey. Remember, your role as a parent is to provide guidance, not pressure. Be their support system, expose them to opportunities, and encourage them to develop adaptable skills. I'd love to take any questions you have. Feel free to drop them in the chat. Let me stop sharing so I can see your chats better. Any questions?
Nikki, your
What is
video
it?
is off.
Thank you.
Okay.
So what do you think are the biggest challenges young people face in career planning right now? But also, do you have any questions from everything that we've talked about? We could also revisit some other questions I'd have to. What it is that you wanted to do when you're growing up and what it is that you currently do. Now is when I'm looking at the comment from Yvonne, and that was chef's kiss. Oh, Thomas, thank you. One of the biggest challenges young people face in career planning right now is navigating uncertainty in a rapidly changing job market. True. A few key aspects of this include AI and automation. Many traditional roles are being transformed or replaced, and it's not always clear which careers will be viable long term. That's very, very true. And hence, a fear that you have as a parent, as your child is discussing a career that they want to take, at the back of your mind, you're asking yourself, okay, will AI and automation interfere with this career? Is lack of guidance? Yes, true. How does this manifest itself? Oh, I'm looking for Thomas' comment. Hey, Thomas. Oh, yeah, true. Hey, you've given us a whole thesis. Thank you very much. Um, Lack of guidance. Yes, that's true. Lack of guidance is quite key. It's quite a big problem for many parents. For many young people is mental health and social and societal pressure. Yes, the pressure to succeed quickly, amplified by social media, can lead to anxiety and fear of failure. Very true, especially when you're constantly comparing yourself. Okay, this is what I'm doing. This is what my peers are doing. I think I need to speed up the pace in which the pace in which I'm succeeding or the pace in which I'm progressing or growing, and you can compare yourself and feel as if you're not doing well enough. Wow, Thomas, thank you very much for this thesis. Uh, Yvonne says the narrative of there are no jobs. So when the conversation is being had, then there's lots of pessimism. Yes, that's very, very true. If you start this conversation as a parent from the point of, okay, there are no jobs, then the conversation already starts on a very negative note. Yet, yes, it is true that the job market has evolved in some ways which seem positive and some negative. And because of the way the economy is right now in this part of the world, it might seem as if the conversation about jobs can only be pessimistic. But because of the changes in the world today, your child no longer needs to be limited to thinking about a career only in Kenya or in Africa. They could be developing apps for a company in Norway, right from Nairobi. They could be doing software development for a company in Qatar from their home in Meru. So the way the world has opened up means that also opportunities have opened up. So we don't have to look at the opportunities from employability in the traditional sense of the word, where you have to go to an office. And we're calling it also things like the gig economy, where we no longer have to think of work as permanent and pensionable, where you can have single small contracts with very many different companies, all happening concurrently because very few companies are hiring people permanently. But it's an advantage now. You can work for multiple employers all at the same time in a legal way. So the conversation on work and employability need not be negative. It need not start from a pessimistic point of view. The conversations on careers and lack of role models as well is something Yvonne has pointed out. Yes. Some careers can be so new to you as a parent that you don't know people who have done this and done it successfully. So you're wondering, okay, where can I direct them to? And that can be a hindrance, but broaden your networks so that when your child tells you, I want to do this, then you actually do know somebody who can guide them, who can get them better. I must say, though, as a HR practitioner, that the knowledge that young people have nowadays is unprecedented. In my time, I had no idea that if you love writing, you could pursue a career as a copywriter. But now you can pursue a very successful and very fulfilling idea as a copywriter if you love writing, right? So the young people nowadays have that advantage of having a lot of knowledge at their fingertips. Any questions, any other comments? Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you very much, Thomas. On your question on what I wanted to do versus what I do, I'm living and working my dream after I pivoted. Oh, well, congratulations, Yvonne. It's nice to know that you're living your dream after you pivoted. Wow, congratulations on that. Yeah, I'd asked, what did you want to be when you were growing up and what are you currently doing? Let us compare. You've had this joke of where people say, okay, if you're in my generation and you read the book, Think Big. So after reading that book, all of us wanted to be neurosurgeons, right? Remember? Then we went to high school. So Form 1, you still have the dream. But by second term, it has started a bit wavering. By second form, Well, you have dropped the neurosurgeon bit. Now you are okay with just being a doctor. By Form 3, you have dropped that story altogether. By the time you're finishing campus or high school, you're not even sure if you're going to campus, on a light note. So anyway, what did you want to be then, and what are you currently doing? I shared that I have pivoted many times in my career, and that has been very rewarding for me, I must say. I didn't starting out straight from campus. I didn't know that I would end up in HR. To be honest, I didn't. Yes, I knew about HR as a career remotely, but I didn't have a lot of knowledge about it. So I ended up in HR sort of by mistake, right? Sort of not really by mistake, but circumstances. And I'm very happy now. I'm very fulfilled, and I think that other things that I have done before I ended up in HR, I hope they make me a better HR, because now I have experience of what to do and beefed me when I was doing procurement, when I was doing contracts management, done administration, I've done sales, I've done marketing, I've done so many different things, and I feel like all of those have helped me be a better HR. So, ladies and gentlemen, are there any other questions? If there are no other questions, I hope that today's session has sparked something in you. From the questions I've given you, that you'll go and discuss with your children, you discuss with your partner, your parent, your co-parent, your friends, your relatives, how best you can support your child, what are the changes in the current landscape of work. Remember the exercise I gave you about finding out what a UI UX designer does? And that's just to give you a hint that there are so many careers out there that you might not know, but they are very lucrative careers, and there are so many more. So I hope this opens a door for you to have many discussions with your children. Ask them the open-ended questions that we talked about. Ask no judgment at all. Be ready to hear them out and be ready to support them, and also be vulnerable so that they can understand where you're coming from as you give your feedback. Like, I'm worried that this might not be a very stable career. I'm worried that you might not have opportunities to earn a lot in this, and you will be surprised how resourceful children can be with answers once you have, not children makes them look like young, how resourceful young adults can be when you have shared your concerns and your fears openly, and you two can come to a middle ground. Like we see now, you can do so many things at the same time. You don't have to be limited to one. And that is your role now as a parent, to guide them so that they don't make their decisions from a place of fear or from a place of pressure. So my final thoughts are, the best way to guide your child's career is not choosing for them, but by helping them explore, helping them grow, helping them adapt. The future belongs to those who embrace learning and those who embrace change. I want to thank you once again for joining today's session. I really, really appreciate your time and engagement. Thank you very much, Yvonne. Thank you very much, Thomas, and everybody else who was engaging in the background. I hope you have taken the questions I've asked and you will discuss them further. Wishing you and your child a very, very successful career journey ahead. That's it for me. Over to you, Rachel.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikki. There's one interesting question that came in. It's from Thomas. I don't know whether we can address it before we close.
Yes, please.
So he was asking, research and development are two key elements that inform decision making. Why is it not part of our career choices?
Research and development. Why is it not part of our career choices? I hope I have gotten your question well, Thomas. I would say it's a part. Okay, being able to research is important regardless of the career that you're in. Really, regardless, you must be able to research. From my experience in campus, every unit had every degree had a unit on research. I think the universality of research is what makes it theme as if it's not a career option, yet it is a very, very, very good career option. That's actually a good question. I think the reason why it is not presented as a career option is just lack of exposure, maybe. I'm thinking no one ever showed me that research is a career option because also they didn't know researchers, right? But we can do differently for our children. Thomas, like you know that research is a very lucrative career, and now we can share it with our children. Yes, research is a very lucrative career. I think in our time, we thought it's just part of all careers need research. We didn't think of it as a career on its own, yet it's a very lucrative career. I guess that goes to answer or reinforce the point that we had about us not being able to inform our children better because of limited knowledge on our end, right? So the challenge is for us to make sure that we are always on top, of the current industry trends, current trends in the job market, so that we can guide them better. Thank you very much for that. I think the answer is we simply did not know that research can be a career, but now we know. The same way some years back, people did not know content creation can be a career, UI, UX can be a career, cybersecurity can be a very lucrative career. Thank you very much, Thomas. Anything else, Rachel, that I may have missed?
Not really. There's another comment from Yvonne. She's saying also research was based mainly in academia.
True that. Actually, for many people, when they think of research, they think of it only as an option in academia. But now everybody in the marketplace knows research is very, very key, regardless of the industry.
Okay.
Yes, thank you very much for that.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nikki. This session was very exciting, short and sweet, and very informative. I hope our parents have also felt the same way. And for those who have participated, I really do appreciate and value you, Asanteni Sana. So we look forward to hosting you in our upcoming webinars. At the beginning, I mentioned that we are having a series of parents webinars, and they are very informative, just like this one. So we'll be having them on a weekly basis, and we'd really appreciate if you could join us and invite your friends who are also parents, because they'll gain something from these short sessions that we are having. So we have the next one, which is scheduled on Wednesday, 9th of April. If you get some time, just 1 hour in the evening from 6 to 7 p.m., please join us. The topic that we'll dive into will be balancing academics and creative interest, finding the right career path. So thank you so much again for joining us, and I wish you a lovely weekend ahead. Enjoy.
Bye, nice weekend. Thank
Bye.
you for joining us.